Hey my friends, welcome back to part 3 of my knife collection series. Just wanted to show you this knife here today. It's a money clip type of knife. I've had this for probably around 9 years now. And it has a burl wood onlay there. And it is very compact, obviously, very lightweight, under 2 ounces for sure. And it has this kind of like a triangle thumb hole, if you will. And let me go ahead and open it up for you. As you can see, it has a frame lock, and you can probably get about 2.5 to 3 fingers, maybe about 3 fingers if you really choke up on a knife. And this is really good for just like opening up letters and packages, cutting straps, and maybe like zip ties or something like that, cable ties. And I like it because it's so thin. You can put it in your pocket like a traditional pocket knife, or you could even use the money clip portion and use it to clip it to your pocket, or maybe to even a backpack. If your backpack has a type of webbing on it, you might be able to clip it on that. So, it's something that I don't typically carry and use a lot, but I have various types of these. In fact, there's a whole series of these that I have. I think some of them are in storage, so I don't really have quick access to show you them all right here and right now. But if I find them in the future, I'll try to dig them out and bring them up in this series. But in the meantime, though, I have a few more knives in this particular edition before we leave that I want to show you. The next knife we have is the Spyderco Dragonfly. This is the original Dragonfly, part of the Clip It series, and you can tell by the clip itself. Instead of having a wire clip like the second generation or the Dragonfly 2, you have this integrated clip. It does have a lanyard hole, and it has this mid-lock, has the traditional Spidey hole, and it has a forward choil, so you can choke up and get all of your fingers on this very small knife. It's pretty cool. It does not have jimping on the thumb ramp or on the choil here. So, it is kind of what it is. I do enjoy this knife quite a bit. It's so lightweight. It's almost 1 ounce. I believe it was like technically 1.2 ounces, I believe, is what it really is. It's something of that nature, and it's a pin construction, so you can't take it apart. So there were some drawbacks in the first generation, but I do believe that the second generation Dragonfly has kind of solved all the problems, and it is by far the more desirable of the two. But for just historical purposes, I went ahead and kept this, and maybe down the road I'll get a Dragonfly too, but I really like this a lot for just times I want to just throw something that I just forget about in my pocket, to open up boxes or packages, and open up mail as well, just like the previous money clip knife. You could probably use this as a money clip if you wanted to. It's just that this plastic clip is not going to probably give you the same tension than if it was a metal clip. At least that's what I've noticed. And so, yeah, I mean, this is a really cool knife. There's a lot of people that would say, yeah, it's cool, but, it's kind of small. And for a lot of people, they don't like to choke up on any of their knives. They like to stay back. And if you do that, you get a nice 3-finger hold. But there's a lot of people who don't like that. They want to get a full grip on whatever they're using to cut things. And so, it's kind of like a personal preference. I think for me, the Delica is kind of like the perfect size for most things. But there's a time and a place for smaller knives, like the Dragonfly. And so it's just something to consider. The Code Steel Mini AK-47. This is the original variant. This is pretty cool stuff. I will admit that I don't carry this at all. And I think it would still be pretty good for a kit system, depending on what type it was, but it's fairly aggressive. And I mean that in the sense of the the G10 handle scales. I really like them a lot. But unfortunately, though, they're so aggressive that they can tear up your pants, or at least your pockets. So it's not probably the most practical, but I love the design of this. I love the materials. Cold Steel is one of those companies that, to a lot of people, including myself, they're just a little over the top. They're over the top in their advertising, a little over the top in some of the blades they make in terms of the size and all this stuff. But typically they have high value items, or their products are high value. This is one of those variants of the AK-47 that Cold Steel makes, because they make a larger one in the original format like this one. And then, of course, they have the newer versions that use upgraded steels. And I'm not up on all that. I could probably tell you what the blade steel is and all, but this is not one of those. It's just one of these things, though, that it's really appealing, this whole look. I don't care for where the pocket clip is. It rides too far down, therefore the knife sticks up too much. I did put this fob on here just to kind of give it some color. But other than that, though, it's a pretty decent knife. It uses the triad lock and this thumb disc for one-hand opening, which is ambidextrous. I don't really care for that at all, but I would rather have like maybe a thumb stud or a thumb hole, but it does work. Sometimes it can be a little slippery, though. So in the open position, we have a really good-looking blade. The actual cutting edge is quite a bit smaller than the handle, but it's just because of the design. You have this very large choil that kind of forces your hand back a little bit so your thumb rests about right here. And it keeps your hand back to give you a better type of cutting experience, especially if you were to use this in a self-defense type of role. Overall, the G10 is extremely tactile. It looks really cool. And I have to say that the larger brother would be a really good option if you were in the military. This would be a good everyday carry knife if you made some modifications to the G10 so they wouldn't tear up your pants. So other than that, though, I just want to say that it's lightweight. It is fairly compact for what it is. And, I could see why you could be hooked on these and want a higher grade steel. And that's what, of course, Cold Steel did. They upgraded a lot of things in their last catalog, but it caused the prices to go up on some of their knives anywhere from 2 to 3 times of what it was, because the blade steel costs more if you want better stuff. And that's the only downside about when I hear a lot of people talk about, I want so-and-so company to keep increasing the quality of their materials. Maybe it's a blade material, maybe it's a handle material. But just remember, though, the more you want to upgrade, the more it's going to cost for you. And in the big picture, you're going to actually probably reduce the amount of sales the more you increase the cost of a product, typically speaking. Not always, but in a lot of cases. So I would rather, see Cold Steel just use a mid-grade steel and have more people that are able to buy it than to go with some type of super steel. So that's just my thought on that. The Gerber Ghost Strike fixed blade, a very thin, lightweight, personal protection fighting knife option. You can use this as a neck knife, or you can change the configuration of the belt loops to meet your needs. It has a skeletonized handle with a rubber overmold, and overall, it's just one of these items that it's a little bit expensive for what it is, but maybe not. I'm trying to remember exactly how much I paid for this. I think it was around $40, which may seem a little steep for what this is, but I think you're buying a package deal. It's a system. And so let me go ahead and take it out of the sheath and show you what it looks like. So this is what the blade looks like. It's very simple in design. It's very easy to carry because of its profile. I don't know what else to say, but it works. It locks in your hand. You get 3-finger grip, and the fourth kind of just locks in the back. And overall, you have just enough reach to do the job. You could use this as a utility knife. I just keep mine in pristine condition and keep it razor sharp in case I have to use it for personal protection. But otherwise, I would highly recommend this if this is the kind of knife you're looking for. Not everyone is looking for this size of knife. Typically, people want something a little bit larger. But those are the same people who don't typically carry larger knives. It's all in their head. It's like, it sounds good to say to someone, yeah, I like larger knives, but when you never bring them because they're just too bulky or too heavy, it's better to have something that you will carry with you. And so I'm just being honest with you that I would carry this, and I have carried this, versus something larger, which I typically won't carry anything larger than this. It's just too bulky and it's too much of a hassle. Think about all the other things that you have to carry every day. Your wallet and your keys and your cell phone, maybe your sidearm if you have a concealed carry permit or license in your state. You may have a folding blade. You may have all kinds of other stuff. And to carry around a larger fixed blade knife, it's really not ideal or even practical or possible for a lot of people. I would even go so far as to say the majority of people just would never even consider it. So this is awesome for the purposes of personal protection and maybe light utility use. And I say light utility use is because the ergos, because it's so thin, it can kind of get a little uncomfortable after a while. Even though it's rubber overmolded, it gets a little bit awkward if you're doing a lot of tasks with it. At least that's what I've heard. But for just self-defense, it's going to be, more than adequate. The last knife for today is going to be the CRKT Minimalist in the Bowie style blade configuration. It has this really beautiful black and green micarta handle scales. Just love that. And it has a really nice basically molded sheath that comes with it, and some paracord and a barrel slide lock. And I tell you what, this is what I would consider the perfect neck knife. You can definitely use this as a pocket fixed blade, or even for something that could be put on your belt, and it even comes with the belt attachment. But as a neck knife, wow. This is the perfect setup, in my opinion. In fact, I've been looking to get a custom of this by Alan Foltz. And Alan Foltz is, he's backed up right now. I think he has about 1.5 years of orders. And so he's not taking any more orders for the custom version of this. But I really enjoy this. It's just the blade steel is not that great on this, but it's okay, It gets the job done for small utility tasks. And that's what I would say this is probably going to be the best use for. It's probably not going to be that ideal for self-defense, but for utility use, this is going to shine. Yeah, so it's real thin, extremely lightweight. Overall, though, this thing is it's just so ergonomic, and affordable, around $20. So I'm going to go ahead and take it out of the sheath and show you what it looks like. The CRKT Minimalist is just an amazingly ergonomic blade. I mean, it feels like an extension of your hand. You don't really question it. You just know that it works. It works really well. It's so compact, but it is what it is. And so, hey, if you're really looking for like a pocket fixed blade or a neck knife, maybe even like a small belt knife, really consider this. Really do consider this, because this is going to be a bit of a surprise for you guys that may not really be on board with this traditional look and design. You may say that it's just too small, but I wear extra large gloves and it fits me perfectly. But then there's people I know that wear medium-sized gloves and it fits them perfectly. And I don't know how that's possible. but he's just figured this out. Alan Folks has figured out the perfect spacing for human hands and these choles. So he's a master. He's a genius. And just wanted to share this with you. Thanks for watching. Catch you later.